Karmic World. I'm Mallory.
I'm Courtney.
Today, more Buffy.
More Buffy.
Buffy season 5.
Yes.
If you have not seen seasons 1 through 4, or us talking about seasons 1 through 4, then go watch those.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Buffy season 5, we're going to be spoiling it all for you now. So you might want to go watch it and then come back. Or you could just watch us talk about it if you would rather do that.
Yep. But they'll ruin the whole thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, proceed at your own risk.
Yep. It's up to you.
So we last left Buffy in the cheese man.
With her not knowing what's going to happen next. Where is life going to take Buffy now?
Where do we go from here?
Dracula.
Count Alucard. In those movies, he called himself Count Alucard so people wouldn't know who he was. Even though that's just Dracula backwards, so. Fooled them, though.
Right?
But anyway, Dracula shows up.
Buffy versus Dracula. It was very interesting. It was, I think it was supposed to be, I don't know. It's a little bit campy, but also there were some moments where you were like, what's happening?
Yeah. Because Dracula's glamorous. Glamour?
Yep, he got into Buffy's house. And then he fed on her. Oh no.
And everyone was appalled because, they think it means something.
Especially Riley.
Yes.
He is very upset about it.
And then, also, Xander keeps getting pulled into nonsense. Because when does Xander not get pulled into nonsense? Now he working for Dracula.
Yep. But, of course, Buffy defeats Dracula, although it kind of leads you to believe Dracula can't be killed. Because he keeps coming back, and she actually killed him again, but then he kind of swooshed away. So we don't really know if he's dead or not.
But what we do know is, he owes Spike 11 pounds.
Right?
Pay up, Dracula.
Rude.
And one thing that's kind of important that happens in this episode, other than Dracula, is that Giles tells Buffy he's gonna quit. But then Buffy asks him to stay. So yeah. And then she has to kill Dracula like 27 times. Because he keeps... She's like, come on, man, I'm still standing right here.
Yeah, right? Really?
Yeah. So then the next episode, Dawn is writing in her diary.
Oh, yeah, the end of the episode.
Oh yeah, the Dracula one.
Buffy comes into her room, and there's a girl standing there. And she's like, what are you doing here? And then they both are like, Mom! And as an audience member, the first time around, you're like,
Buffy has a sister?
What? Since when?
Since always.
Also, it's funny now, like, when people react to Buffy, and a lot of the people in the comments are like, always cracking jokes. Like, what do you mean you don't remember Dawn?
Yeah.
Like, she was obviously like she's been there the whole time.
Yeah, she's been there the whole time.
But it's weird because then when the next episode is sort of kind of from Dawn's perspective of her writing about everybody. But everybody treats her like they've always known her.
Yeah.
And so, of course, still as an audience member, the first time around, you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Who is this girl?
Yeah, it's very confusing because obviously we know she didn't exist before, or well, at least we've never seen her. And presumably she ain't been living with Hank because he's a crap dad.
Yeah.
Shot at Hank. Anyway, so Dawn does say that she isn't going to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Ha ha! Harry Potter. But also, Harmony has formed herself a little vampire gang and is trying to run around and mess things up.
Of course she is.
But why not? So that's kind of what happens in that episode, and then you just really are confused.
Yes, you are.
But then the whole rest of the time, you're just expected to believe Dawn is here and has always been here.
Yeah.
Of course, they do that on shows a lot. They'd be like, so here's so-and-so's sister, and then you never see that girl again. This is reverse. It's like there's never been a sister, now there's a sister.
And you're supposed to be like,
Yeah.
it's not where did they go, it's where did they come from.
Yeah. So then in the third episode, this rock demon splits Xander into two different people, even though really it's just two sides of Xander in human form.
Because Xander's always kind of thought he couldn't do better, I guess. So at first he thinks some demon's taking over his life because that guy's like, he's getting promoted and he's like getting this apartment that Xander wanted and all this stuff. And then he figures out, well, this is also me. It's just like, this is the side of me, that actually works hard and gets what he wants. And it's not just like
coasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course Anya wants both of them.
Yeah. So when and they actually, this episode, they got Nicholas Brendan's brother, twin brother, to play the other Xander in the scenes where there were two of them. Which was cool, I thought.
But then, of course, they worked tirelessly to get them put back together, even though also Xander's moving, and I don't know why they didn't leave them split till they got done moving.
Yeah, they should have let the more responsible one. Although then they were both laughing and joking. They're like, he's having a bad influence on himself.
Yeah. But still, you should have left them apart because you got double the manpower.
Right.
Logistically, that was the move. They boofed it.
Yeah. But I guess that gives Xander more confidence at the end of the day of, I really can do it. It is in me to achieve my goals and to... Although I'm telling you, I don't know how he afforded that nice apartment. Working in, I mean, maybe construction, at least then, paid really well.
Maybe it was construction. Like the mafia. Like the mafia.
Because it's a really nice apartment.
Well, that's everybody in every show ever. How did the Friends afford them apartments?
How do people afford... Yeah. You always have these, like, single people who have, like, these random jobs.
Yeah.
This is like every Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
And they have this extravagant house or apartment.
Right.
And they, like, run a toy store.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening? That is not real.
Well, say honest and truly, you think about the Friends, to get off topic for a minute, and I don't know a ton about Friends, but the one apartment was really just Monica and Rachel, right? So Phoebe had her whole own other apartment.
Yeah.
And Ross must have two.
Yeah.
So, of course, Ross was married, so there's that. But then, like, I mean, none of the Friends are making bank at first.
Mm-mm.
So how they get these places? And then they don't ever move even when they start making decent money.
I think they made some kind of joke in the finale about rent control.
Oh, yeah, rent control.
But, yeah, I'm like, this is especially when you're in the city.
Yeah.
And you have an apartment that's not just a studio apartment. Like, this is a big 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
That ain't real.
So we don't know how Xander afforded his apartment. Of course, I do also wonder, did Buffy and Willow get a gazillion student loans?
Probably.
Because I'm just telling you, there's no Hope Scholarship for Buffy.
Mm-mm.
Technically, there's no Hope Scholarship for Willow either because they're in California. But if they have an equivalent in California, Buffy didn't get it.
You know?
Bless her heart.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you afforded it, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a struggle. So then after that, Riley's heart is the monster of the week because it is betraying him on a figurative level and a literal level because it's trying to kill him.
Yeah. Because as a result, I think, of all those drugs they used to pump him full of, and back when his commando days,
Yeah.
it's sort of taken a toll on his heart. And now all the other soldiers who are still working, and I don't think we mentioned this in the season 4 video, but Forrest, he got killed. He died in season 4.
Yeah.
But Graham survived, and he now has come back to sort of try to get Riley to rejoin them. But also he's like, you really need to have this surgery like the rest of us had because it's going to kill you. And Riley's like, I don't trust these people.
Wonder why.
Right? And then Buffy's like, are you really going to let yourself die? And she gets all pissed because I guess he's sort of starting to feel that whole thing with like Buffy's really powerful, and now especially that they're not pumping him full of these enhancing drugs, that he's not as powerful, and he feels like he even tells Xander at one point that Buffy doesn't love him.
Yeah.
So you could tell he's really starting to feel like she doesn't like him as much as he likes her, and I think too he's feeling a little insecure about things.
Yeah.
And so he almost thinks she doesn't care about me, and she keeps trying to tell him she does.
Yeah.
And I can see his point in a way, but it's annoying when somebody's telling you they care about you and
And you don't believe them.
you don't believe them.
Yeah, that happens on TV shows a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, why don't you believe them?
This just happened on The Bachelorette the other day.
Well, that is a reality show.
Yes, but see, Greg was the front runner, and then he got on this whole thing.
Sad sack
About-
Greg.
I deserve better because you don't care enough about me, even though she kept kind of in a roundabout way saying, I do care about you.
Alas.
Anyway.
It's like reverse gaslighting.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to have the surgery, but finally he does.
Yeah.
Except also his surgeon gets kidnapped by Spike and Harmony, who have now gotten back together again.
Yeah, because
Sort of.
Spike wants the surgeon to remove his chip. And then also, let me just say, at the same time, Joyce is sick. And Buffy's trying to help her get better, trying to help Riley. And of course, she got 85 other things to deal with this whole time. But, yeah, so then Spike got the surgeon. So then all hell breaks loose as per usual. But then, and Riley's heart is racing out of control. But then Spike realizes he's in love with Buffy.
Yeah, at the end of the episode goes, so of course Spike fails again to chip out. And the doctor saves Riley. But Spike has at first you don't know. Like, he's sitting in his crypt, and Buffy busts in the door all pissed off.
Yeah.
And she's finally going to kill him. But then, when she goes to kill him, she hesitates. And then he grabs her and kisses her. And they start making out. And at first you're like, what? What is happening?
Yeah.
And then you realize he's dreaming. But also he tells Buffy in the dream that he loves her. And so when he wakes up, he's like, oh my gosh. Of course, I actually think he says, please no. And so then you're kind of like, oh snap, what's going to happen now?
And the Buffy fandom grows.
Yes.
So Buffy thinks then that Joyce is cursed. That she's not sick, she's cursed.
Mm-hmm.
So they do this trance, and Buffy goes into this trance and starts to realize that Dawn is not her sister.
Yeah, there's some kind of something around her that she sees that makes her think. Then she thinks Dawn is responsible for what's happening to Joyce,
Yes.
which is not the case.
No. Then this crazy chick named Glory comes to town, and Buffy fights her, and then she confirms that Dawn is not, in fact, her sister.
No. So she's trying to figure out about Glory, right? And she goes to see these monks. And they basically tell her that Glory's looking for the key. So it's like a key that opens up like the gate between dimensions or something. So she can get back to her dimension because she was like banished to ours for being terrible, I guess. And so the monk tells Buffy that they took the key's energy and they wanted somebody to protect it, and they knew that Buffy was strong enough to. So they said, we sent it to you in a form that we knew you would protect as a sister. And they implanted all of these fake memories in everybody's head to make them think Dawn had always been there.
What? It's shocking. I am shocked.
And so Buffy finds out, and at first she only tells Giles because she knows nobody needs to find out who Dawn really is. And she doesn't, too, I guess, in a way, want to put anybody in danger of knowing.
Right.
So that when Glory asks, they don't know. They actually don't know.
Yeah.
But I think everybody, eventually the rest of them find out. But
Yeah. So then the next monster of the week is Tara's family.
Tara's family sucks.
They are garbage.
Also, one of them's Amy Adams.
Yeah, our cousin.
Which was interesting.
Yes. And I said, I'm assuming this is the same episode. I say, yeah. Glory has a killer clown working for her. And Riley is down on his luck and a sad sack. And also, how old is he?
Yeah, because you would think he was supposed to be like in his early 20s. Because he was still, he was a TA, but usually they're like, they're still students, right?
Yeah, normally. But it also seems like he's been in the army for like a long time.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have joined until he's 18. Plus, he's like ranked.
Yeah.
We don't know how old Riley is. Because it always seems like Buffy is older than she is.
Yeah.
To me. Because, of course, at 18 years of age, I had not saved the world and died multiple times. So, I know, right?
What life are you living?
Dull. So I guess it always just seems like Buffy's like 25 when she, like in this season.
Yeah.
Even though really she's like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Tara's family is total trash. Go.
Yeah, her mom had died. Like when she was 17 or something.
Yeah.
When she was a teenager. Well, I guess they might still be, but. And so it turns out that her mom had also practiced magic, and her family were basically, I don't know if they were like religious, but they were kind of course, very anti-magic, and they thought that something was wrong with her because of that.
Yeah.
And that they were really, they thought almost sounded like they were going to try to like send her to some kind of therapy, or they were going to try to
Conversion camp.
Yeah. Also, they may have had a problem with her dating Willow. I can't remember. But Buffy and them were basically like, no, because Tara has kind of been there since season 4, but she's never, I guess, felt like part of the group.
Yeah.
As much like with the rest of the Scoobies. She's always just kind of been Willow's girlfriend, but not really. And so when they kind of stand up for her and say she's part of our family, it's sort of the first time that they do, they sort of bring her into the fold officially, and she's very touched by that.
Yeah. Because she did accidentally curse them so they could not fight the killer clowns because she was trying to hide the magic.
Yeah.
But she accidentally unpowered everybody.
Yeah.
But then they did all go around and say how much they, Tara was their family, except for Spike was there, and he was like, I don't care about her.
Except me.
Yeah, he was like, except me. I'm just here, And evidently he punched her too.
Oh yeah, to prove she was human. Because
yeah.
they kept telling her that what was wrong with her was she was part demon.
Yeah.
So Spike punched her. And,
then,
it hurt his head. And he was like, nope, she's human because it hurt me when I hit her.
So, good old Spike.
Kind of nice, kind of not.
Classic Spike.
Right?
So,
like, haha, woman got punched in the face.
Then they leave him. We never see them again, thank goodness.
Yeah, right.
So then the next episode, we get to hear Spike's backstory in which he is sired by Drusilla. What the F?
Yeah, this was one of the we had talked about back in the season 2 video.
Yeah.
Was he had sort of said Angel was his sire, but really Angel's his grandsire. Because Drusilla's the one that turned him into a vampire, actually.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite episodes of the whole entire show, too.
Shocking.
It's called Fool for Love. And I love Spike, but I think this is what shows, I guess, supports that I think he's one of the most interesting characters on the show. Because of, you see how he used to be when he was alive.
Yeah.
And how he became a vampire and how he became Spike.
Mm-hmm.
And that how he killed the 2 Slayers. Because you heard in season 2 he killed 2 Slayers, but you didn't know how until now. And they showed you how he killed them.
He kind of got some sneaky help.
Yeah.
I got the sneak attack on him, I think.
Yeah, the first one, like something exploded or something.
Yeah.
And helped him. But the second one he killed is more important because that comes back around. Her name was Nikki.
Wood.
He killed her on a subway train in the 70s and stole her leather jacket, which is, you find out how he got his leather jacket, his duster. But I just thought that episode was really good. You also saw like Angel and Darla and Drusilla and how they were kind of a gang, back in the day. And yeah, it was just really cool seeing a Spike backstory because before then we hadn't seen one.
Yeah.
We'd heard a few things here and there, but we hadn't really seen it.
So then after this, we go through a long spell where Joyce is diagnosed with having a brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
So they're dealing with that on and off for a while there. But in the very next episode, it's kind of funny because Riley has to go out hunting with Xander and Willow and Anya. And they're terrible at it. And they're walking through the cemetery eating chips.
Yeah.
And he's
getting real annoyed.
And then they're like, what does that mean? And they're like, maybe that means we're supposed to be quiet. And they just do everything wrong. I'm like, how people live?
Yeah, he was getting real annoyed. But Buffy didn't want him to go out on his own.
She got staked.
Oh yeah, that's why so the whole thing with Fool for Love episode was Buffy she got staked by a vampire. And so she decided she needed to figure out how past Slayers were, what happened.
Yeah.
And so she has to go talk to Spike because he's the only one who could tell her what happened because he killed 2 Slayers.
Yeah.
So he's kind of telling her the story of his life throughout the episode of what happened, which he ends up telling her, every Slayer has a death wish, even you, and it's like they just were ready to die, basically.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes along with her whole struggle this season of figuring out who she is and what it means to be the Slayer for real.
Yeah. But hey, listen. You also find out about his love, Celia. Right? Spike was in love with Celia. Write poetry about her. Cecily.
Yes.
I think I got auto-corrected on that one.
Effulgent.
But isn't she Halfric?
Yes.
Does she turn into Halfric, or they're 2 different people?
I think she turns into Halfric because of something that's said in season 6.
Okay.
Or I don't know if they cast the same actress and then they put that line in just because
Yeah. Okay.
if people would notice. Which Tom Link actually was in season 5 in a different as a vampire.
Yeah.
In one, I think he was in Harmony's gang, and I'm like, that's Tom Link for sure, who is also in season 6 as a completely different character.
Yeah.
But he was a vampire in Vampire Face the whole time.
Yeah.
But I did notice this time around, of course. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's him.
So then we go back. Joyce has this tumor. Spike comes to kill Buffy with a shotgun and ends up comforting her.
Yeah, that was really kind of a nice moment, I think. Of he was mad at her because she told him that he was beneath her, which is exactly what the Cecily woman had told him back when he was alive.
Yeah.
And so then he was like, I'm done with, I'm done with her. I'm just going to kill her no matter how much it hurts me, my head. But then she's all sad when he gets there and he's like, what's wrong?
Yeah. Spike.
Then he pats her and he's like,
Spike is a terrible villain.
yeah, all his plans always fail every time.
How did he get... Yeah, see? What has happened? This is how I know he got a sneaky jump on them other two Slayers. Because he ain't done anything since he got to Sunnydale.
His plans just fall through every time.
Yeah. So that's happening, and Glory is collecting ingredients for things.
Yeah. And we also meet this guy named Ben who works at the hospital, and Buffy meets him when her mom's in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like an orderly kind of, and he helps, he sort of comforts them, and he's there for Dawn, like, sometimes, he's just this nice guy, random guy. But he actually asked Buffy out, I think.
Yeah.
At one point. But
And then Spike broke into her house and sniffed her clothes, and Riley found him.
yeah, Spike starts getting weird. I mean, he's always had certain weird things, but he starts to get a little creepy in season 5.
Here's another note I made. Riley and Buffy don't have the fiery passion, but he is the man Buffy needs. I feel bad for him. And then a couple lines later, I put, poor Riley. Parentheses, Mal has been lying to me my whole life.
I wasn't sad to see him go.
So then the next episode, Glory summons a giant snake to find the key. So it's running around underground and killing people. So,
Yeah.
and we're still dealing with the tumor.
Yeah, and it does come at dawn, and it's going back to tell her that it's not, that it's found it, but Buffy stops it and kills it before it can.
Yeah.
Even though then Dawn is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And she starts to get suspicious, I think,
Mm-hmm.
at this point.
And at one point, Xander said, why can't there be a cult of bunny worshippers? And Anya was like, thanks for that.
Thank you very much for those nightmares.
He don't want to deal with the snake, which honestly looked like something out of the original Power Rangers. The special effects in that episode are not great.
Questionable.
I kept expecting those little silver guys to pop out and fight her.
Right?
So then we also we start a trend along these lines sometime where Riley hunts down a vampire girl and lets her bite him.
Yeah, he's gets some kind of rush or something from getting fed off of. So Spike finds out about it, and so of course he goes and tells Buffy because, he's trying to make Riley look as bad as possible.
Yeah.
And she's appalled, of course.
Yes. Yeah, because he'd been going to a brothel. He calls in the military to help, I think, with the space worm demon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 2 different episodes or that was 1 episode? Well, anyway, also I put that Joyce starts freaking out and saying that Dawn's not her daughter.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what is happening? But then Joyce has surgery and it all goes good and the brain tumor's better. So then, she doesn't really remember all that. But it's like all these crazy people keep turning up. And whenever crazy people see Dawn, they know she's not a person.
Yeah.
Or they think she's not a person.
They start talking to her, and they start being like, it's so shiny, I want to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she gets several people come up to her at different times. And so that kind of, all this stuff combined is making her more and more,
Yeah.
Think something's wrong with me.
Yeah. So then, Riley goes to the vamp brothel. Spike takes Buffy out there. She kills all the vamp hoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I blame Buffy for this, honestly, but it was never going to work. Buffy's not giving Riley any attention.
She sounds a lot of other stuff going on. He needs to get over himself.
Well, see, also, I think around this time, Riley starts developing a complex. Because in the last season, when they talked about everything, is when she explained about Angel.
Yeah.
So now I think that's really getting to Riley more and more. That, she was with a vampire. And now, of course, it sort of seems like Spike is more and more in the mix, and so then he starts getting a complex that she really wants to be with Spike, even though she does not at all.
No.
But he thinks so. So
I think the military, I don't know if it's the next episode, but at one point the military, they come back to help.
yeah,
They ask him to go with them. And he decides, or he kind of gives Buffy an ultimatum. Almost, it's like, he just sort of says, you got to give me a reason to stay. And she's kind of almost acts blindsided, like, how could you think I don't love you? And
Yeah.
how could you feel this way? Like, I've just been dealing with all this stuff. And he's kind of like, you got to give me something more, or I'm leaving.
yeah,
And then she does go after him, but it's too late. He's already gone.
yeah,
So
yeah. But I feel like the writing on the wall is kind of there. Like, I do kind of feel like Buffy should have seen that Riley didn't, she wasn't paying any attention to Riley. And I know she had a lot of stuff going on, but everybody else did get some attention, but Riley never did. It's almost like she just knew he'd be there.
yeah.
And took advantage of that, in a way. So then, soon after that, we find out that Ben is in fact working for Glory. Or we think.
Yeah.
Turns out, not really. But anyway, sort of kind of, also really Ben is working against Glory,
Yeah.
to be fair.
He is trying to thwart her plans.
But then Anya accidentally turns a dude into a troll and wreaks havoc upon the magic shop. And they have that happen an episode. Then the next episode is about the Watchers Council, who are, as per usual, full of crap. Because they are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. They, back in season 3, I guess, when they showed up and made Giles give Buffy that serum that sort of took her powers away, and
Yes.
she had to fight whatever, and then he kind of got fired. They haven't really been around a whole lot since then, I guess.
Yeah.
But of course they come back trying to be like, we're, whatever, and Buffy's like, great, you're here.
Yeah.
But they do end up telling her that Glory is a god
Yeah.
and not a demon. To which then they're all like, well, great.
Yeah.
That's worse than we thought.
Yes. And then you find out that really Ben and Glory are brother and sister, I think. And also, I don't know. And also, I don't know if Ben's dead or what. That body swapping.
They are the same person, as it turns out. I think what it was is whenever she was sent here, it almost like they created Ben, or he was, I don't know, to house her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's always been with him. So it's kind of like he lives his life, but then sometimes she takes over and lives a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really tries to do the right thing, at least at first. So he tries to go against her evil plans.
To little avail.
Yeah. But nobody knows they're the same person yet.
Yeah.
But also, we find out later on that if anybody ever sees them turn into each other, they instantly forget.
Yeah.
Because it happens at one point where somebody, like, before, I know it happens later on in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But at one point it happened, and everybody was like, or in front of somebody, and then it's like it never got mentioned or
Yeah.
something. And I'm like, but then you find out it's because they forget.
Yeah. So then, around this time, Dawn finds out she's the key. And in classic Dawn form, she's a brat about it.
Yeah, Dawn's not the best character.
Bless her heart.
I mean, I know she's supposed to be like 14, but she just comes off as really annoying.
Yeah.
Most of the time, in season 5 especially.
Yes. They celebrate Buffy's birthday. She turns 20. Spike's trying to prove how good he is and confesses his love, and Buffy stomps on his heart.
Yeah, Drusilla comes back to town,
Mm-hmm.
and she thinks she's going to get Spike back, but then he decides instead he kind of kidnaps Buffy and locks up her and Drusilla both. This is a great plan he had. And tells Buffy he's in love with her and that to prove it he'll kill Drusilla. And to which Buffy's like, that doesn't prove anything, you crazy.
Right.
I'm like, bro, this is not the best way to go about that. I feel like if they thought, we're going to have this happen with Spike, like, we're going to make it, he's not going to be anything like Angel.
Yeah.
Which he's not. He's
No.
nothing like Angel. Which
No.
he actually said himself. Nothing like Angel.
So then we get introduced again, or for the first time, to Warren.
Oh, yeah. Who has made a robot girlfriend. Who now he's got tired of, but he tried to abandon her and she keeps trying to find him.
Yeah. Because she's programmed to be obsessed with him. And now she is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, Spike orders one for himself.
Yeah. So he decides since he can't have the real Buffy, he'll have a robot version of Buffy.
Yeah.
Which is next level of creepy, to be honest. But
Yeah. So, then the saddest bit happens.
yes, one of the best episodes, one of the saddest episodes.
Yeah. Buffy comes home and finds Joyce dead from a not funny aneurysm on the couch.
Yeah. And she finds her at the end of that episode the robot episode, which was kind of I don't know, it was just a random episode.
Yeah.
So it was weird when she walked in and saw her, and as an audience, you're kind of left like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then you don't know till the next episode, but the body, that episode, had no music.
Yeah.
So, like, when nobody's speaking, you can't, it's, I guess because you get so used to there being music playing, that when there's nothing for the whole episode, it's so bizarre. And it makes it, like, really almost creepy in a way. And
Yeah, and it makes it
sad.
very, like, heart-wrenching.
Yeah. And I think Buffy, and I read, or people were talking about this before, is how her reaction to, like, that was so it just seemed like such a real thing.
Yeah.
Like what a real person would do if this happened to you.
Yeah.
Because so many times on TV when people die, people either have like a crazy dramatic reaction or hardly any reaction at all.
Yeah.
But I felt like even though hers seemed like a real genuine reaction to
Yeah, because like
finding your mom, you know.
she calls the 911 and they come there and like because what happens is that once they get there, Joyce is dead because she died pretty much instantly when the aneurysm burst.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they say something about, like, somebody on the call or something calls it the body. I think the 911 operator says, "Where is the body?"
Mm-hmm.
Or something. And so then, like, the whole rest of the episode, you can see Buffy being like, the body. And, like, she's detached from everything that's going on. But also you can tell that she's just like she doesn't believe it, but not in a way to where, like some people do, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
to where they're just like, oh, it's not real until they eventually break down. It's like she knows it's happening, but just can't process it.
Yeah.
And then, like, at one point, Spike shows up with flowers because, Spike and Joyce were kind of close, actually. But then Xander's an ass to him.
Yeah.
So Spike just throws the flowers down and leaves.
And after that, they do have a funeral episode for her, and Angel comes back.
At night. So what happened to the Gem of Amora?
Yeah, I don't know what he did between seasons with that, but they he just comes back, I guess, sort of comfort Buffy, which was nice. And she's, of course, kind of dealing with that and everybody. Now, I will say, in the episode, The Body, like, one of the best parts and also the saddest parts that makes me cry every time I watch it, even though I've seen it a bunch of times, is where Willow and Tara and Xander and Anya are all trying to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And Willow's like, I don't know what to wear. She keeps, like, changing clothes.
Yeah.
And then Anya's like, I just don't understand, and nobody will tell me why. Like,
right.
I don't understand why this is happening. And I'm just like, every time I'm just
Yeah.
there crying. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Somebody just tell people what happened.
Because they're also used to people. I mean, anybody that's ever died before was killed by a vampire or a demon or like
Yeah.
something like that, and like then Joyce just gets taken out by an aneurysm, and that none of them can accept that.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't anything supernatural. And at first, because Buffy's even trying to at first say it was Glory, she did something.
Yeah.
Because that makes the most sense. It's not like it had to have been something evil that
Right.
happened. It couldn't have just, been something I actually couldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't have saved her, which is, you think would be comforting, but also in a way
It's not.
it's not, I guess, thinking there's nothing that you could do.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a slayer and that's sort of your thing is saving people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that episode was good, but very, very sad.
Yeah. And so then, when Angel returned for the funeral, Buffy kissed him, which the funeral is the episode after The Body. I don't know what the name of it is, but that's when they have the funeral.
Forever.
So Buffy kisses Angel and tells him, she's needy, and also he seems broody and pained when she kisses him. Yeah, but this is a new broody and pained. So I thought, is he with someone else? Should I be watching Angel? This is me like all the time now. So then after all of that, at some point, Dawn tries to revive Joyce.
Yeah. And she thinks, but really, she finally realizes when they tell her, they're like, it's not going to be her.
Yeah.
You're
Spike
not-
is helping her at first,
Yeah.
because no one else will. But now Glory knows, but at some point in that, Glory figures out the key is human.
And Spike figures out, Spike and Dawn both figure out at the same time that Dawn is the key.
Yeah.
Because they find this book and stuff, and they're reading it, talking about the key and it being human and all this stuff, and or maybe it was Giles's, a book of Giles's or something that they were reading, and so both of them at the same time were like, "Oh, it's you. You're
Yeah. Yeah, and I really thought during this episode while she's running around with Spike trying to revive Joyce, I thought of several things. Why don't the Scoobies realize that Dawn lies to them like all the time? They can't trust her for nothing.
No.
But then also when they've been telling her, like Mallory said, if she comes back, it's not really going to be her. So like, why didn't Spike go wait by the grave to like make sure it was actually Joyce?
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't, just put it back down and not tell nobody what happened. I mean, seemed pretty obvious to me. But also, then, so, this is probably, and Buffy, of course, is just broken the whole time. Sarah Michelle Gellar does an awesome job during this whole deal. And then, at some point, Willow and Tara say they can't bring people back from the dead. But also, around this time, okay, so, this is sort of a hot topic. No offense intended to anybody out there. But this is around the time where Willow starts to say, and other people do too, that she is a lesbian. And she's with Oz for all that time. Mm-hmm. And I thought, she's at least bisexual. And maybe that just wasn't as common. Like, people didn't think about people being bisexual. Because like you said, really there were no lesbians either on TV at that time. Except for like Ellen. Because I think the show Ellen was probably out by then. But I don't know if Ellen was out on the show or not. But there are references throughout the show to where Willow was definitely in love with Oz.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of strange to me because like from here on out, they consistently refer to her as being a lesbian, but they also do act like she just realized she was a lesbian, which is not how it works anyway. I mean, she would have, she would have always known if she was just a lesbian. And I think it's more like David, like she likes the wine, not the label. Like she falls in love with people.
Not. And that's what I always thought is like, well, obviously she liked Xander.
Right. And
then she really liked Oz. So that was me too, as I thought, well, doesn't she like both?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now her and Tara did have their first kiss in the body.
Oh.
It was not like a dramatic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like a quick thing, and you almost don't even think about it. But it was.
Huh.
The first time they ever kissed.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I have an issue with that moving forward. How they just, and like I said, it may really just be semantics of the time that people only thought about gay or straight and not everything else in LGBTQIA+.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what it was, but
yeah,
watching it in 2021, even though it's from like 2000 something.
Yeah, and really it's something, the part where I was kind of like, what, was it happens later on in the show, in season 7.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Things are said to where I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, but
it's and it's also probably a situation where they may not have had, like people of that community on staff, on the writer's staff. So they didn't, I feel like people do a better job now of trying to actually capture the experience that LGBTQ plus people go through. And they probably didn't have that viewpoint then, so they didn't.
Yeah.
They just wrote it as straight people think about
Yeah.
straight, the other side. But I don't know. It is weird, especially in season 7. To her point,
Yeah.
things get weirder. But anyway, I digress. So after this, Spike gets his Buffy bot.
Now I will say that episode is really funny.
Yes.
And I do really like it, even though if you think about it too hard, it's really creepy.
Yeah.
But, so he's like having sex with this robot. Who is like Buffy, but also obviously a robot. But the funniest part is, nobody else realized, because Buffy herself goes on this vision quest.
Yeah.
Well, so while she's on this vision quest, the Buffy bot is seen. And so everyone thinks that it's Buffy. And I'm like,
They never figure out it's not her.
you do know. And then they see her having sex with Spike, and they still think it's Buffy.
Yeah.
Then they're going to stage an intervention because they think that she's just grieving, and that's why she's turned to Spike.
Yeah.
Which is maybe not such a far-fetched idea. But I'm like, you obviously know this is, just talking to this person. It's talking, or this thing, it's talking like a robot.
Right.
But it was really hilarious.
Yeah, that's a really funny episode, but yeah, the whole time I thought, once again, how do y'all not know this is not Buffy?
Right? Well, they're not good at identifying
No.
when Buffy has been overtaken.
Right? They are the worst.
But, so I think it was in the same episode. So Buffy gets back from her vision quest, which in it she kind of talks to the first Slayer, who tells her death is her gift. Which is sort of goes along kind of what Spike had told her too.
Yeah.
So she comes back, and then she's like, that is a freaking robot, y'all are idiots, basically.
Yeah.
But then Spike, because now Glory knows that the key is human, and it's somebody Buffy's protecting, and she sees the Buffy bot protecting Spike, she thinks Spike is the key. Well, she doesn't. Her minions do.
Yeah.
And they take him back to her lair, but then she realizes it's a vampire, and so she knows he can't be the key, but he probably knows who it is, and of course he does. So she starts torturing him, trying to figure out who the key is. And Buffy finds out that Glory has kidnapped Spike, and that Spike knows about Dawn, and so she's very concerned that they're going to have to run, because Spike's going to rat them out.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
But then she does go and save him, and then she poses, and then she acts like she's the Buffy bot and kisses Spike.
Yeah, because she goes to find out if he told Glory anything, and he says, no, I let her kill me first before I would do that.
Yeah.
And so I guess she feels bad for him. So Buffy kisses him, pretending to be Buffy bot. But as soon as she kisses him, he knows that she's not the robot.
Unlike the rest of them.
Yeah. And so that was their first, real kiss, I guess. The first time, I guess, it was sort of a voluntary type of situation, even though it was not romantic. It was just like, you look like hell because you just got the crap beaten out of you.
Yeah.
Even though you're weird and had this robot of me, but you did save protecting my sister. Then they took his robot.
Yeah.
Of course.
So then Glory decides that Tara is the key, and nabs her, breaks her hand, and mind sucks her.
Yeah. And so we find out that's why there's so many new people in the mental wards, because that's how Glory, I guess, stays sane, because she's a little bit cray-cray herself, is by mind-sucking other people, which then makes them kind of crazy. So then, of course, because Tara and Willow had gotten into a fight before Tara got mind-sucked, so then Willow felt really extra bad about it.
And sort of starts going a little bit dark.
This is another one of those situations where I feel like Willow is like, everything's fine, and they're like, we talked her out of it, and Spike's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
And he was right again.
Yeah. And then Spike is left to take care of Dawn because
Yeah, then Buffy decides that Spike's the only one who could take care of Dawn, which she had previously and earlier in the season went and left Joyce and Dawn with Spike too.
yeah. But he tells her he would go on a suicide mission for the person he loved.
Yeah.
And I put, he's wearing her down. But then Willow tries to go fight Glory and Buffy has to come save her.
Mhm. Cannot.
But then Glory finds them and figures out that Dawn is in fact the key.
Yeah. So then they actually do have to run.
Yes.
So they get this RV and put dirt on all the windows so Spike can come with them.
Why not?
So that they can all flee together.
From the Knights of Byzantium.
Yeah, who are now they're trying to kill the key before Glory can get it.
Yeah.
So then they have to fight them too because they're trying to kill Dawn
Yeah.
and trying to hide from Glory at the same time. Then they make a huge mistake because Giles gets injured and they're like, we need a doctor. So they call possibly the worst person they could have called in the history of time, which is Ben.
Yep.
It tells them exactly where they are, and he comes to help Giles. But as we all know, Ben is also Glory. So when he, of course, inevitably turns into Glory, he takes Dawn and flees.
Yes.
But then, so we find out that really, like what I said before, when people see the change, they forget. Except for it doesn't work on vampires or demons. Because Spike did not forget. But
Yeah.
the rest of them did. And so they're like, what happened? We don't, what happened to Ben? And where did Dawn go? And Spike's like, are you
What?
guys high?
Yeah.
Like, Ben and Glory are the same person, but every time he told them, they would forget immediately.
Yeah. Even when he just told them about it, they kept forgetting.
I love that at one point, Xander was like, okay, so start over. Did you say Ben is Glory? And Spike's like, this is going to be worth it. And whacks Xander on the back of the head. And
Yeah.
so then both of them were like, ow.
Yeah. So then at some point, all of the mind suck folks start chanting. And it's almost like we all know everything is coming to a head because Glory's got Dawn. They're all getting prepped for battle. Xander proposes to Anya. And she says yes. And then they get the portal opened, I think.
Well, first, Buffy has kind of gone into like this coma where she's like comatose, but she's like awake, but also not after Dawn gets taken.
Yeah.
Thinking that she's totally failed and she's gotten her sister killed and stuff. So Willow has to like go into Buffy's mind and pull her back out and be like, no, we can still do this.
Yeah.
And then, so they're prepping and they're planning, and Willow's gotten her plan down to fix, to help Tara. And then they come up with this whole plan on how they're going to, because they figure out Glory's going to use Dawn to open this portal between all the worlds, and like chaos will reign on Earth because it's going to open like all these other dimensions with all these other crazy monsters.
Yeah.
But one of my, I guess, because of course at this point I really like Spike, is Buffy disinvited Spike from her house whenever he confessed his love and stuff. So he comes to help him, and she invites him back in. Because he says, oh, you can hand me, he goes to help her get weapons, and he says, you can hand them to me over the threshold. And she's like, you can come in. And then he kind of says, I know you'll never love me and that I'm a monster, but,
You make me feel like a man.
yeah. And I always like that, of course. And so it kind of like they sort of have this mutual respect, I guess, for each other again.
Yeah.
Or really maybe for the first time for Buffy.
Who knows?
He's actually he's helping us, even though he's done all these things and he's, a little bit creepy sometimes.
Yeah.
That he really does seem to care, I guess.
Yeah.
And that they trust him enough to help.
But they do get the portal open, and then they do manage to kill Glory and Ben, but the portal's already open. So Buffy jumps in there, even though she's way more useful than anybody else. Just saying.
Yeah, because when they go, well, first when they get there, Willow manages to do a spell between Glory and Tara to get Tara back her mind, I guess. And then, so she's taking care of Tara, and they're trying to fight through all the crazy people to get up on this huge tower to save Dawn. So Spike goes up and tries to save her and gets pushed off. It was very high.
Yeah.
So he's like laying there unconscious. So Buffy finally gets up there to save her, but it's too late because it's open. And so she realizes that, and so Dawn's going to jump in because she says, my blood's the only thing that can close it. So as long as I'm alive, it won't close.
Mm-hmm.
But Buffy realizes that they made Dawn out of her, so they have the same blood, so that she can also close it. And she keeps thinking about that, about like death is your gift, and all this stuff that's been said to her about death, you know, that maybe this is what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, Giles they realize they can't kill Glory, but they can kill Ben. And so Giles ends up killing Ben, because he says Buffy would never be able to do it, but I can.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do it for her. Because
Yeah.
Ben's human, technically.
Yeah.
So anyway, Buffy jumps into the portal, and then she is dead. And that was really sad. It was really sad because, of course, everyone was sad.
Yeah.
But Spike was very sad.
Yeah.
He was crying. And
Yeah.
I was like... And, of course, Willow and, you know, they were all crying, too. But
The hardest thing in this world is to live in it.
be brave.
And then it's over forever because Buffy's dead, so
She
no more
saved
show.
the world a lot. That's what her gravestone said.
Yeah, truth.
At the time though, when this show was originally on, it was on the WB, and season 5 was the last season that had been renewed. And so when it first came out, it could have I kind of thought it was going to be the end because it hadn't been renewed yet.
Mm.
So that really was like the end of the show, it seemed like, and then it got picked up by UPN and came back for 2 more seasons then on UPN. But we all did think it was official, that was actually over. And I mean, it would have been a sad ending, but, you know, it,
Somewhat fitting.
yeah, I don't know. It would have been bummed to end it with Buffy dying, but...
Yeah.
So that was it. That was season 5. Well, I guess we do have some new things. So the magic box, I think we kind of talked about. Giles ends up buying the magic box because he don't know what to do with his life now. So he decides he's going to start running the magic box because everybody that's run it before has been murdered.
So
Good plan.
who wouldn't want to do that?
So we spend a lot of time in the magic box this season.
Yeah.
And not a lot of time at college.
See what I'm saying? If you watch the season 4 video.
Right? And then, so we talked about really all the new characters, obviously Dawn, Ben and Glory. We met Warren. So now I have my quotes. Here are my quotes I wrote down.
Okay.
Pacey, you blind idiot. You know what, Spike, they came in and he was watching, I guess, Dawson's Creek. One of my other favorite quotes is actually on my shirt. But I think Spike's like hanging out outside Buffy's house. She walks outside and she's like, "What are you doing here?"
5 words or less.
Yep. Out for a walk. Bitch. Which is really funny.
Yeah.
And then, I think this was from Fool for Love, and he says, "What can I tell you, baby? I've always been bad." And then immediately it goes to him writing poetry.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I don't know, I wrote down hobbits with leprosy, which I think is how they described Glory's minions.
Oh, yeah. Probably so.
Oh, and then when she says, "Tell Spike, I'm counting on you to protect her, and he says till the end of the world, even if that happens to be tonight. And then the hardest thing, which we already said, were my quotes I wrote down from the season. So
Did you know you can get leprosy from an armadillo? See, this show's educational too. We don't just talk about vampire shows.
yeah, we'll educate you on random facts.
Yeah, sometimes.
This particular instance,
Yeah, since we did mention leprosy.
right?
Here's a fun leprosy fact.
I think overall this season I liked better than season 4 on the whole. I liked the villain, Glory as a villain, a lot better.
Proper villain.
Season 5 is probably I think one of my favorite seasons as a whole.
Yeah.
And then it has, of course, some of my favorite episodes in there too. But
Mhm.
so I guess really we lost Riley
Yeah.
and Buffy.
R.I.P. Buffy.
Were the main and Joyce.
Yeah.
Were the main characters we lost, and then we really gained Dawn for the most part as
Yeah.
character moving forward.
Yeah.
So
So let us know
It was
what
good.
you think of Buffy season 5 in the comments, and like and subscribe below.
check out our other videos. We'll have 2 more coming
Yep.
after this coming out sometime.
I haven't finished watching the show.
Yep, we're gonna finish season 7,
Yep.
and then
I think I've only got 3 episodes left or something.
so we'll get on to those later. But we also have other videos in the meantime that you can also check out that are great. I'm sure,
Yes.
probably
Definitely.
be there, watch them.
Now we're going out for a walk. Friends. Friends.
We're not gonna call you viewers and bitches.
No. So.
The not viewers.
Everybody that you know that doesn't watch our show though, tell them to watch our show so they can be friends too. Friends. Not like friends.
Yeah.
Just like friends.
Normal friends.
Bye.